This is more important than you're going to think. 5 years have passed since the pandemic, and there's some questions that the media would rather you didn't ask. That's why this clip from 2023 of Patrick Bet-David absolutely demolishing CNN's Jeffrey Toobin is more relevant than ever before, especially as America enters a new era in its culture of conversation. Take a look at this before we dive in.
I know all about epidemiology. How could you possibly ask someone like me what the source of COVID was?
Oh, that's not what I'm asking.
No, but
in general.
But I'm saying, but what I'm saying
we rely on
is
Vinny.
we should ask Vinny about the source of COVID. But
shut up, Adam.
That is a question that should be addressed in good faith by people who have some idea about how to determine that. I don't know the source of COVID.
Yeah, but Jeff,
I mean,
that's
that to me. But that these questions that become politicized, it seems ridiculous to me to have political debates about something that is a scientific question that people should address. And I'm agreeing that there should be investigations of all that stuff.
By the way, Brett Baer, did you see the interview with Trump?
Yes, I saw excerpts.
Did you see? Did you think he did a good job?
No.
Oh,
you mean Brett Baer?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought Brett Baer did a very good job.
I agree. I think Brett Baer did a great job.
Good job.
And you know how he said, this person got fired. That person got fired. This person got fired. Why do you not have a good, hire? So he asked a tough question.
You notice those two sleights of hand? I know it's expected from Jeffrey as someone who's part of the declining old media, but he's not even hiding it anymore. Before I tell you though, be sure to subscribe to Millionaire Mentor so you don't miss out on these amazing cultural and political breakdowns that we do here every day. Now the truth is, saying that the experts should have a say is really just a euphemism for the idea that the common man shouldn't. The experts already did tell people what to do in 2020. It was the podcasters like Rogan and citizens being impacted who were shadow banned on social media or lied to about it, like in the case of Joe Rogan with that edited clip of him on CNN, for which he threatened to sue the network. Secondly, did Jeffrey just say it's a scientific question and not a political one? Is he even listening to himself? It was a question that decided who you got to meet, what you could say, where you could go, whether you could run your business, and how much of your individual rights you sacrificed. It was absolutely a political question because it was a question about how much freedom people gave up and how big of a hit to the economy had to take according to what the experts said. And I love how PBD demolished the idea that a few select people can be in place to think on behalf of hundreds of millions of people.
The comment about the fact that I'm not an I'm not the expert, I'm not this, I'm not that, I'm totally get it. The element of that approach, when you say something like, well, you're not the expert in this and you're not the expert in that, there is a very clear, pompous, elitist message behind that. Like just like this week when MSNBC and CNN. Well, we know the president is talking right now, Jake Tapper and Rachel Maddow, but we know the president is talking, but we are not going to let him have any airtime, and we're going to update you on whatever he says that's necessary because we know he's going to tell lies. I'm sorry. Do you think I'm a moron? Do you think I don't have a mind for I can't make, what the hell is America all about? You just said I'm a moron. That's what you just said. To half of America, hey, America, you're a moron. You can't think for yourself. That's why you need me, because I went to this elitist university called whatever, Columbia. I don't know where Rachel went to. And I know what's best for you. Guess what? I don't like that. That's why I left Iran. There's a reason why we don't live in Iran for 10 years. 10 years old when I lived in Iran, we went to Germany at a refugee camp for 2 years. Then we came to America because I want me to make the stupid decision on who I vote for, not you. Let me make the stupid decision of voting for Biden or Trump. There's a part of that where when we say, I'm not the expert, you're not this, well, no, you're a smart guy. That's why you're here. You're not a regular schlep off the street that doesn't know what. You've been involved in a lot of different things I've investigated. All I'm saying is for us to take the approach as well to say, hey, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't have this. You don't know what you're talking about. No, we're here because we don't know everything, but we're here to question things and say, this kind of sounds a little fishy. Don't you want to know about it? I do. Well, no, let's just live in the future. Forget about the past. No.
All right, let me boil it down in the simplest way possible. The person that makes a decision needs to be the one that bears its consequences. That's the most fundamental principle of a free individualist society. And that also works in reverse. If hundreds of millions of people were forced to shut up about their something, close their businesses, take a jab, they're facing the consequences of a decision that was imposed on them by a select few people at the top with centralized control over them. And those powerful people, like we saw Gavin Newsom dining out during the lockdowns, will probably never have to face the personal consequence of a decision that they made for you. And I don't understand why Jeffrey is even framing it as a debate. You can have all the debates you want between the experts, but that doesn't have to come at the cost of genuine bottom-up conversations between regular people trying to understand their next move in such a crisis.
The only point I was making was there are certain scientific questions, like the source of COVID, that it really does require some considerable expertise in the subject in order to have a reasonable opinion about it. That's the only point I was making, and I'm not saying that, I mean, what is more than legitimate is you or Vinny or anybody saying we need an investigation of the source of that. Everybody, that's a perfectly legit,
right?
But the ultimate question of what the source of is, I want to rely on people who know something.
And who's leading that investigation?
Yeah, exactly.
Who is? I don't know.
That's my point. And where's this investigation?
And I go.
They'll investigate laptops and leaks and this and that.
No.
But something that shut down the world for 2.5 years, no investigation. What is happening?
Adam, China runs, bro. If China could fly spy balloons over our entire country, over nuke bases, and nothing happens, nobody's investigating. But here's my thing.
Which is absurd.
No, but here's my thing, Jeff. And I'm not an expert. Nobody in here knows about epidemiology, right? But guess what? It doesn't help when the experts were trying to talk and the government was silencing them. When Peter McCullough was trying to talk, when Robert Malone was trying to talk, they banned them on YouTube. They took them off Twitter. How do we even have a chance? How am I supposed to learn from the experts when they were shut down and now it's years later and now we're like, it's old news. No. Right. Again, accountability.
That was such a cathartic rant by Vinny, because I think 2020 was a watershed moment when people realized just how critical it is to be able to speak and have open dialogue. Many of the things that people's voices were shut down for speaking eventually turned out to have a lot more weight to them than expected. Remember when Jon Stewart back in 2021 on the Stephen Colbert Show, when he took heat for breaking away from his leftist colleagues over the lab leak theory? Now, nearly 4 years on, we've got to even the CIA admitting that it was most likely the origin of the pandemic. But you can't blame people for just not trusting those same old voices anymore that tried to shut them down when it was actually important.
And that's why I had the thing with Joe Rogan. He wants to have that debate with the bring a scientist.
Yeah. Dr. Peter, are you following that story?
I am following.
Yeah. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, what do you think about that?
I mean, I actually am sympathetic. If you want to have a scientific debate, have two scientists debate it, not Joe Rogan against some scientist.
He doesn't want to do that either, though.
RFK.
But Hotez doesn't even want to debate two expert scientists that are on the opposing side. I understand the argument you're saying, like, why should he debate RFK? RFK is not. Fine. Okay, that's a reasonable argument. But why don't you get a couple other experts from the other side and want you to debate?
Totally for that.
Then I respect that.
That's fine. I'm not in that involved. I just having people who know something about it should debate. But I shouldn't debate.
No, of course. Jeffrey, why do you think?
I don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
America wants to see this debate, conversation, dialogue for sure. Whether it's RFK or Malone or McCullough, and then versus a Fauci or Dr. Hotep, fill in the blank. In your non-expert legal opinion, why do you think this debate has not happened? Why has it not occurred yet here in America?
Well, it is happening. I mean, look, we're having this conversation.
No. But none of us are experts. I'm talking experts.
There are scientific papers being published all the time about COVID.
That is a debate. No, it's not.
A debate.
Yeah, how many scientific papers have you read?
I haven't read it, but I mean,
nobody's reading that. But people want to visualize and see.
You're saying like
doctors. That's why you can't shut up millions of people at the same time. You're just building a dam with a lot of pressure behind it that eventually bursts, which is arguably what contributed to a mass political movement that swung the political pendulum way to the right in this election. But let me know in the comments what you think about this, and please share this with people that have an important voice to add to this conversation. I think a post-pandemic world looks very different in a lot of ways, but one of the most important is the renewed respect the public has developed for free and open bottom-up conversation among the common citizens.